by the sea.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan. Second episode of the year 2026. I guess if I really wanted to go all Ted Koppel, I could say, America under hostage or under captivation. But I won't. Hey, we've got Joel Sklar, who's joining us from, I think from California. Anyways, we've got ourselves quite a dazzling array of people who are going to be commenting on what has been going on this week. We have joining us, I believe, for the first time, Mike Stone or Stoney from 97.1, the Ticket. So didn't bring Wojo with him.
No, that's a blessing. I appreciate that. Dumb down the panel a little bit, I guess.
We've got feature writer and former Detroit News reporter Jim Mcfarlin, the third in the house. We've got two of our three attorneys. We've got Steve Fishman and Joel Sklar. Joel, are you back from California yet?
Just got back literally 5 minutes ago.
Oh, my goodness.
24-hour flight, strangely as it was. We got rerouted every place. But I'm
You're in the chapel space at DTW, right?
Yes. The meditation spot. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We have labor and community activist Barb Ingalls, veteran journalist Nancy Derringer, and of course, co-founder of Deadline Detroit, Allan Lengel. So, first story is a rather disturbing story, and that, of course, is what's been going on in Minneapolis, where a 37-year-old mother, Renee Good, was shot 3 times in the face by an ICE agent during what seems to be a protest of the ICE raids that had been going on over there. And there is, of course, all kinds of chaos when it comes to the narratives. It seems as though government officials have pretty much come in and absolved the ICE agent by the name of Jonathan Ross of any kind of culpability for what he's done, despite plenty of evidence which seems to indicate that there was either a violation of policy or a violation of law. Steve, I know you've been wanting to talk us through this.
Let me play this real quick.
Okay.
No! Shame! Oh my God! What the fuck?
Dramatic video.
And there you have it.
Yep,
Fish.
That was brutal.
Yeah. Yes. You want me to start from the beginning? I mean, this could go on for a while.
We have exactly 57 minutes, but the floor is yours.
All right.
Take your time.
The first thing to note is when you say government officials haven't done shit, yet. The fact that the feds are telling the state that they're not getting involved yet doesn't mean anything, quite frankly. But let's start with the incident. Unless you are blind and you haven't seen the video, we all know what happened. He murdered the lady. He killed the lady without justification or excuse, And the fact that Kristi Noem or Trump or anybody else gets on there and starts telling you, don't believe your lying eyes, that tells you all you need to know. I don't know that the mayor said it in quite the appropriate way, but I kind of like the way he said it. And he was 100%
Absolutely appropriate.
So let's start with that. There's not any question. There's no issue in this case as to whether or not it was a homicide that was not justified. That doesn't mean when the guy gets charged, assuming he gets charged by the state, that he can't raise the issue of self-defense. As you guys know, I've represented a number of police officers who have been in what I argued was self-defense situations and where juries found that to be self-defense. This case is not self-defense, and the video itself, without anything else, proves it.
Yeah.
That's A. B, everybody is kind of missing the point a little bit in terms of talking about what's going on from here. The fact that the feds come in and they tell the state, look, you can't have anything to do with this so far, blah, 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 blah. People are talking on television, writing in the newspaper, that this means the state is somehow eliminated from considering that. That's complete and total bullshit. The feds can come in and investigate anything they want. They have federal court. That's where they take care of their business. We have state courts in Michigan, and they have state courts in Minnesota. They have a county prosecutor who has the absolute right to investigate this homicide. And they have Keith Ellison. We have to remember who's the attorney general there, who's the one who prosecuted Derek Chauvin for murdering George Floyd. So the attorney general, just like in this state, has the right to investigate any potential crimes that occur. So what I think is going to happen, and I can't imagine there's any other way that it can happen, the feds can do whatever they want. They've already announced before, I guess, either looking at the video or thinking that none of us could see, they've already said he did everything right. He hadn't done anything wrong, let alone criminal. So now they can do their little investigation and they can come back and say the same thing. One little point, though, that everybody that's listening should recognize, if the FBI is doing the investigation, keep in mind, you got to keep in mind, the fact that Kash Patel is a useless human being who's a sycophant and a suck-up to Trump has nothing to do with regular FBI agents. And personally, knowing tons of FBI agents and having had countless cases with the FBI, I'm not saying I never disagreed with FBI agents. I'm not saying we didn't try cases against each other, although it was the U.S. Attorney's Office. But FBI agents in general are responsible, very smart, and a lot of them are lawyers. A lot of them have law degrees. I find it hard to believe that agents on the ground are going to sign off on this bullshit that we heard from Kristi Noem and Trump. So that's just something as an aside. It doesn't mean that Patel doesn't have the right, because he's the director, to say, well, we're not presenting this to the U.S. Attorney's Office. It doesn't mean that Pam Bondi, who's a hoe, as we all know, say, I'm not going to consider this. I'm not bringing any charges. Personally, I don't give a shit if they bring charges in the feds. You know why? Because in the feds, if the guy's convicted, then Trump can pardon him, okay? That's something he can't do if it's a state court conviction. So what I anticipate happening is that they're going to go forward and do whatever they do. They can't eliminate evidence. You guys got to understand that. The witnesses who I'm sure you saw on television, eyewitnesses, people who took videos, they're going on MSNBC and CNN and saying what they saw. Do you seriously think that the state authorities aren't going to go interview them? It doesn't make any difference what the feds say about it. Okay, so that's the first thing. People need to understand that whatever the feds do, they can do. All of the cases I ever tried that involved police officer shootings, most of which were homicides, were all in state court. Every last one of them was in state court, because the feds in general, the feds deal with corruption, police corruption, things of that nature. Those are the cases you see in federal court. The homicides wind up in state court. And now you start talking about the case itself. You got to understand, and I'm sure you guys have seen, I'm sure our listeners have seen, any number of retired FBI agents, retired policemen on CNN or MSNBC or whatever, talking about the number of things that the shooter did wrong that were not at all in the training. Number one, you don't get in front of a vehicle. Every single agency, whether it's the feds, the FBI, whether it's the Secret Service, whether it's the Detroit Police, all of the officers are trained not to do that. There's only one time where they'll do that. And the reason they do it, if the person's just murdered 3 people or just is a child rapist. This lady hadn't committed a crime. She had not done anything. And this guy goes out in front of her. That's the first thing. The second thing, anybody that watched the video knows, the lady was turning her car to the right. She wasn't driving at him. It's a complete lie when they say that that's what was going on. She was a domestic terrorist, and then to say that she hit him, it's a total lie.
She didn't even run over his toes.
She didn't run over anything. The guy was walking around. I mean, the video tells you anything you know about that. The third thing, now they're saying, oh, the poor guy 2 months ago or something, he got dragged by a car. That may be true. And you know where that comes in? I'll tell you exactly where it comes in. If he's charged, or when he's charged, the way I look at it, when he goes to trial and he offers a defense of self-defense, any defendant that offers a defense of self-defense has the right, it's very unusual, it's kind of unique to self-defense. That person has the right to say what's in his mind at the time. And he'll have every right to say, look, somebody drove at me and dragged, maybe the jury will buy it. But that has nothing to do with him being charged. What happened to him in the past, I mean, just because something like that happened to him in the past, does that mean he can go and just shoot somebody for the hell of it? Of course not. He can talk about it if he gets on the witness stand once he's charged with either murder or manslaughter. Okay? So that's another thing that we have to understand. And just so the folks who are listening know, in Michigan, and I don't know the law in Minnesota, but a lot of the state laws are fairly similar. What he did, and wait, one other fact. There have been a little talking about it on the television. The most interesting scientific thing in this case is going to be the autopsy report. And keep in mind, as far as I know at least, the autopsy is not done by the FBI or some federal agency. It'll be done by the local people. If that autopsy report shows, and you guys have all seen the screen, forget about the first shot. Let's assume, okay, because he hit the front window. But the time where you've seen it, everybody saw it. His arm is fully extended, and he shoots through the driver's side window. And my guess is that's what killed her. And if that's the case, I can tell you very clearly, that's going to be a very difficult case to defend for the defense lawyer. If he shot after she's by him, she's certainly not driving at him, and he shoots through the open driver's side window and kills her, that, in all honesty, can almost be first-degree murder. That's almost premeditated. It won't be, but that's what's going to be, okay? Second-degree murder, just so people know, there's 3 ways you can be charged in Michigan, probably the same in Minnesota. 3 ways you can be charged in second-degree murder. Number 1, you had one of 3 states of mind. When you shot, you intended to kill the person. Or, secondly, when you shot, you intended to do great bodily harm to the person. And thirdly, I want to read it to you because I actually typed it out from our jury instructions. Third, he knowingly created a very high risk of death or great bodily harm, knowing that death or such harm would be the likely result of his actions. Does that describe what we saw in that video? Even if you want to get rid of number 1 and number 2, does that describe it? Shooting through the driver's side window? Do you think that that's knowingly creating a very high risk of death? Are you kidding?
This is why.
And that's our show for today, folks. Thank you.
This is why my tramp stamp on the above my butt crack is Steve's phone number, because this is who I want. This is who I want to call when I get arrested for something. So
one other thing, just so people know, if they decided not to charge second degree, although as I just read it to you, it's almost impossible not to say that it at least qualifies under the 3rd prong of second degree murder. But if they decide not to, they can charge him with involuntary manslaughter. Let me explain real quickly what the difference is between voluntary manslaughter and involuntary. Voluntary manslaughter exists where it's a heat of passion killing. You know, husband and wife are screaming and yelling at each other or whatever, and one shoots, and it's the heat of passion can reduce a murder charge to manslaughter, but that's voluntary manslaughter. Involuntary manslaughter, if they charge him with that, they're going to have to prove that he was grossly negligent. And I just happen to have gotten the jury instruction for the crowd here. What they have to do in order to prove that it was gross negligence, they have to prove the following. A, did the defendant know of the danger to another? What do you guys think about that? Kind of pretty obvious, right? Number 2, could he have avoided injuring another by using ordinary care? That's fairly clear too, right? And third, that the defendant failed to use ordinary care to prevent injuring another when to any reasonable person, it must have been apparent that the result was likely to be serious injury. So even if for some reason they don't choose to charge him with second degree murder, this is classic involuntary manslaughter. But my guess and my position is very simple. It was a murder, and it's tough to charge first degree murder unless you got a guy talking to everybody. I can't wait to find that motherfucker. I'm going to kill him. It's tough to convict the first degree, but this is a clear case of second degree murder. That's what the guy needs to be charged with, and that's what's going to happen to him once the state gets this, regardless of what the bullshit the feds say. And just keep in mind what I said about the FBI agents. I don't believe they're going to cover anything up. The agents themselves. I have no.
I agree. I agree with you on that. Yeah. We have a little.
That was great. That was a great explanation.
Yeah. We have a little analysis from 3 law enforcement, retired law.
On what information I have, which is the same information everybody has, at least initially, I believe that the officer may have a reasonable justification for firing his weapon.
It was an improper use of deadly force. Police officers are trained that you do not shoot at moving vehicles unless the vehicle is being used as a weapon. In this situation, it wasn't. It was somebody that was just failing to stop.
A reasonable officer would have moved to the side of the vehicle immediately and not been standing in front of the vehicle. Certainly, if there was enough time for the officer to draw and fire their handgun, there was enough time for the officer to move out of the way.
Who was the first guy? Is he blind?
Nancy, I got to tell you, you gave me quite a bit of pause there. I'm going to change my tramp stamp because right now mine says 867-5309. So
you're dating yourself.
Yeah, the only person who will answer is Jenny. Steve, I got to tell you this, not just because you're a longtime panelist on the show and you're my Yiddish tutor. That was the most comprehensive and succinct analysis I've heard yet on this. Thank you. Jim, I want to ask you, because you, I'm sure, have been covering, looking at how the media has been covering this. Where do you see the media when it comes to this? Are they doing a good enough job? Are they asking the right questions? It seems as though in many cases they're kind of throwing softballs that I've seen at government officials, at least.
Well, that's not uncommon in this modern media age, unfortunately, but a couple things come to mind. One is the question I have not heard answered yet, maybe you have, is why they were attempting to pull her over in the first place. She doesn't look Somali to me, and I can't imagine there was a reason that she needed to be restrained or withheld at all. My first reaction, if I have a bunch of people I don't know with guns trying to pull me over, is to drive away. I mean, that's the natural instinct when people come at you like an armed brigade of assassins. But it depends really on who you cling to. If you watch CBS, if you watch MSNBC, who you ask, who you watch, who you go to for your news and information, that depends a lot on who you'll believe and what you hear. Because I've heard a wide range of questions. I know that Tony DeCopel had the mayor on last night live, and I thought that was pretty ballsy considering what he'd been saying lately.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Keep the bleeper button there going. Yeah.
But I mean, there's this just the people are descending. The media is descending on Minneapolis in a time that is most vulnerable, most they're sad. We'll forget her name because that's what we do in America. Time moves too fast. But Renee Nicole Good should be held in at least as much esteem as, say, Charlie Kirk. I mean, she gave her life for something she did not need to give her life for, and I think that's just tragic.
I wouldn't hold our breath for the flags going to half mast, though.
No, I wouldn't. I just wanted to clarify to Jim. I believe she was there because she is like a self-appointed observer of these things. So this is a very common thing. You saw it. I first saw it in the 2020 demonstrations, the Black Lives Matter demonstrations. It's just people who take on the responsibility of watching these interactions, filming if they can, and just being there to monitor it. So that was part of it.
Wasn't it?
There's a First Amendment right here. What's happening here is we're being told if you protest, you will die.
Right.
That is not a subtle message. And this is, I think that's exactly what the administration wants. That's why they have cleaved themselves to a lie. They're going to continue with that lie to justify more killings, more violence towards those who don't agree with the administration. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. And it's going to get worse and better.
With Vice President J.D. Vance actually saying that this person has absolute immunity. I mean, so basically they can go around killing U.S. citizens.
Look, when somebody, they could have walked up to her. They said she was impeding or whatever. They could have said, "Excuse me, can you roll down your window?" Instead, masked guys with guns banging on the door, grabbing at the door,
right,
swearing at her, "Get the fuck out!"
Yeah, instead of just going up and saying, "Excuse me, miss, what are you doing here? Let's pull over. We need to talk to you." Whatever. They're banging on the door, grabbing. They have masks on and stuff like that. It's not an abnormal reaction to say,
exactly.
You guys are crazy.
One of the things that's very clear right now is that these are not regular law enforcement officers. They are guys that couldn't get into the police, couldn't get into the FBI. They're rogue. And if, you know, there was another shooting in Portland yesterday, two protesters were shot.
Right.
Portland, they weren't killed, but this is the fear of everybody that does any kind of street actions. And, you know, it's like, you say about your tramp stamp, but what they tell you to do is you write your lawyer's number in a Sharpie on your arm.
On your arm, yeah.
And you go out. Really? You take off your earrings so that you can't pull your earrings and get you. You take off your jewelry and you write your lawyer's name in your arm and out you go. It's legal to video on your phone.
Yes.
These things, but they're escalating. This is something that's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse every day. They are escalating, and everyone is afraid. Hopefully, not too afraid to go out there. But I mean, it's something you do think about that when you go.
Absolutely.
Many years ago, I watched as trucks drove into crowds of people. You know, I've seen that, and fortunately nobody was killed in those days, but it was really close, and there were people killed in different cities doing that. So this is ICE escalating on citizens, or not. That's not a good word anymore. Just people that live in the area.
Yeah. So the Portland shootings, as far as what we know right now, it makes a real good example of what can happen if there are no videos, because they came out immediately and said it's a Venezuelan guy. Maybe he's even a member of Tren de Aragua, and the woman was blah, blah, blah. And if there's no video, they can get away with that maybe. Because even if the witnesses come forward and say, no, that's not what happened, blah, 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 blah. It's the video in the Minneapolis case that makes the difference. The second thing was, one of our viewers asked the question, what kind of training is there? What kind of training? There's not enough training that you would train a kid to ride a tricycle. And for what these guys are doing. And I'll tell you exactly what I found out yesterday. Here's what they require physically. And I had a discussion today in the gym with a friend of mine who's a Marine. Not anymore, but he was a Marine. And he saw the same thing. How about this? This is the physical requirements. 15 push-ups, 32 sit-ups, and the ability to run 1.5 miles, listen to this, in 14 minutes.
You can walk 1.5 miles in 14 minutes.
All at once?
Even
could work for us. Stop and take a break.
So, the point is, I'm answering his question. What kind of training? Any officer who would do what that guy did, getting in front of the car like he did, like the second two people said, any officer, he has no training. Because everybody knows better than that, unless, as I said earlier, the person's a killer or a child rapist or something like that. Nobody does that. So that tells you how much training there is. At least the guy was able to do 15 push-ups.
Maybe. Yeah.
Hey, listen, if you got a bad shoulder, I can tell you, even one push-up is excruciating. So speaking of Minnesota, it looks like Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, former vice presidential candidate, has announced that he will no longer seek re-election, in part due to the daycare fraud scandal, which has been affecting his state. There seems to be a correlation here between Minnesota being targeted, the Somali community being targeted, President Trump calling Somalis as a collective garbage, quote unquote, and this being then a destination for ICE to seemingly pick them up under the pretense of there being a fraudulent situation going on. Nancy.
Oh, I was just going to say Columbus, Ohio, too, because there's a significant Somali community there. And my friends in Columbus are reporting that ICE is showing up there as well. So just, you know, they're very recognizable. They have a particular look to them. They have that East African physiognomy and, you know, body type.
Are they being blamed for Ohio State's loss in the playoffs?
They might as well be.
Yeah, Stoney, you must have some skinny on that.
Oh yeah, Ryan Day is a secret Somali.
Is that why he dyes his beard?
Yeah, exactly. Or actually, Matt Patricia's the one.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's an epidemic there, but it seems as
Steve,
though
Steve had his finger up.
Steve's losing his mind over there.
Well, because it's important, again, for the viewers and the listeners, it's important for them to understand. There's Somalians, that's true. And of course, Trump and them would love nothing more, as long as you're not a white person, to go after him. But let's not pretend that the fraud didn't happen. The feds indicted him. You know, you could go and read the indictment if you want. But fraud like that has been happening all over the country. Right after the pandemic, the PPP fraud is out of control. The EIN fraud is out of control, and it's happening all over the place. So we got to separate what they're trying to do to Somalians in general from what the federal criminal justice system is doing to those who, I don't know for sure, they haven't pled yet, they haven't had a trial yet, but my guess is they did it. The guys who were doing that stuff. The same thing. I can't tell you how many cases I've had in the last 3 or 4 years and still am getting a PPP fraud, EIN fraud, because there was a lot of that going on. When they decided to hand that kind of money out, you got to understand, I don't have to do it again, the square mind and the crooked mind. The squares that did that, they never bothered to think, wait a minute, what are the crooks going to do when this shit gets out there? And we're seeing what it is now. The fact that they hate Somalians and what all of them are saying has nothing to do with whether or not these particular Somalians committed the fraud that they're charged with.
And why would ICE have jurisdiction over that if it's a fraud that you're investigating? Why would it be ICE that is the agency that is doing that? They're not there for that purpose. They're not there to investigate fraud.
Wait. ICE has nothing to do with the criminal federal case. They have nothing to do with that.
Right, but you can't justify putting 2,000 ICE agents in Minnesota because of that. That's
apparently you've done so.
Yeah, 2,000 ICE agents with a Minneapolis police department that's only 700 or so strong. So a 3-to-1 ratio there. Barb.
All right. I also think that Tim Walz is backing down because of the number of death threats being levied on his family, on his children, and the way that they're being targeted. Because these people can't be low enough. I think that he's responding to this in a really good way. I mean, I stand with Tim Walz. And as for that gotcha video guy that was mentioned a minute ago, it's like, oh, who was that guy
Nick Shirley? That guy?
Nick Shirley, that guy.
There was a guy that was doing Veritas, right? It's the same playbook, and that was all bullshit too.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Tim Walz is like the Shirley Sherrod of 2026. And in Columbus, they sent out John Rocker, the former baseball guy.
Oh, the bigot.
Yeah, the bigot. Yeah, the bigot. That guy. And he's been recorded standing in front of daycare centers holding a plastic baby doll. Laughing. They won't enroll my son LeBron. So he's like, So they've really pulled out the A-team here. Yeah, he is a scumbag. So.
Well, the sad thing is, I think that doll's from his own personal collection. But by the way, I do one point of clarification. No, my mother is not Chaka Khan, because if she was, I would be a Nepo baby, and my life would be completely different. So,
you wouldn't be hosting this show. I know that.
I would do that anyway, Jim. But the main thing that people need to realize about that is, don't try to do that with me again, young viewer, because you're going to incur the wrath of Khan next time. There you go. Got a couple pop culture references in there, and you don't want to see me in a breastplate a la Ricardo Montalban from Star Trek. From Star Trek 2.
But Genghis would be your great grandfather.
You need 2 more greats in there, Stoney. That's for sure. But speaking of Latin American heroes on television, we have, of course, what's been going on in Latin America this past week, and that, of course, is the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, brought to Brooklyn to stand charges on a variety of different counts, including narco-terrorism, conspiracy to distribute drugs, etc. Of course, Maduro pleaded not guilty, and I believe, Alan, we have video.
We have videos.
But now, Maduro will face justice in the best legal system in the world that we illegally kidnapped him to. And it all began yesterday morning when he showed up to court. And if this isn't Iraq all over again, why are they reusing Saddam Hussein's courtroom sketch? Let's see how his first day went.
Maduro greeted spectators in the courtroom saying, "Buenos dias."
Buenos dias. Smart legal strategy by Maduro. If he speaks Spanish, ICE might bust in and deport him back to Venezuela just out of habit.
Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend, President Trump and an elite team of Delta Force special operators removed a dangerous foreign dictator from power. Not that one. They're actually friends. And quite frankly, I think business partners. No, not that. They're also quite close. That's not okay. I believe these two have more of a heated rivalry vibe.
You know, I mean, are we back in the 1950s where we overthrew Mossadegh in Iran and Arbenz in Guatemala and then, you know, get rid of Lumumba and then, of course, Allende in the 1970s in Chile? I mean, I'm having the biggest frickin' historian's deja vu all over again.
It really is. It feels like, I mean, and they're basically, you know, talking about this sort of openly. You know, we need to reassert. And honestly, I was out doing my Saturday errand run, and I was coming home from the Eastern Market, and I turned on WDET hoping to hear the first half hour of Ann DeLisi's show, and instead I heard the live presser that they were giving on Saturday. And first of all, the first thing I heard was, and we killed crime in D.C. Oh, the restaurants, they're opening the restaurants. Oh, and crime is practically non-existent now. And we didn't want to be thanked, but they won't thank us. But we don't care. We're moving on. And I was like, well, he sounds, first of all, number one, more senile than Biden ever did.
Thank you.
And number two, I mean, and then he used the phrase, they're calling it the Don Roe doctrine. And I swear my soul briefly left my body, and it just kind of hovered over the car. And I thought, have I died and gone to hell or what? And
yes.
The Don Roe, the Don Roe doctrine? Are you kidding?
Do you really think he even knows who James Monroe is?
Of course he doesn't know.
No.
I mean,
of course he thinks it's Marilyn Monroe.
Or a player for the Yankees.
Yeah. This is apparently what they say they're going to do. They're going to we're going to be the dominant power in superpower in the Western Hemisphere. We're going to do whatever we want. We're going to annex Greenland or buy it or whatever. And this is apparently
not rule out military intervention to acquire Greenland. But this reminds me of the scene in the Blues Brothers in the tunnel where John Belushi is throwing out every excuse to Carrie Fisher. You know, it's democracy, it's fentanyl, it's cocaine, it's oil, and now they've kind of settled into what it really is about is oil on that. Capturing tankers in the middle of the high seas, which last time I checked was an act of piracy. Right. It seems like this is just now de rigueur because Stephen Miller, deputy chief of staff. And all around goon, was on Jake Tapper on CNN, who did an appalling job of trying to push back on him, saying that we don't believe in international sensibilities or sensitivities, meaning international law. We believe in power, strength, and force instead. So they're saying the quiet part quite out loud now, it seems. Anyway, why don't we go to a commercial there?
I wanted to say something real quick.
Oh, sorry.
Fishman? Oh, he's frozen.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to jump off. As I told Alan, I had a knee replacement in November. I'm seeing my surgeon for the hopefully to check out and I can dance on my own. But thank you for the invitation. I will come back as you need me or want me. Appreciate you.
Jim, thanks so much for having you on, man. Take care. All right.
Go ahead, Steve. No,
I remembered what I was going to say, and it applies to both Miller and Trump. This is all well and good in their minds, this business with having us, the military, going here and there. Wait till there's bodies coming home in body bags. I want to see what the MAGA people and just the public in general is going to say once American soldiers lose their lives in all of these crazy ass endeavors, because it's really simple to say, oh yeah, we just go over here, we do this, we do that. They're going to start screwing around in Venezuela. You got a bunch of thugs and criminals and people who are going to fight back. And then the next thing you know, people are coming home like that. I want to see what Trump has to say about that. And as for Stephen Miller, I've said this before, he needed to grow up in our neighborhood. That's what he needed to go to Bagley Elementary and go to Mumford with me. And then we'd have seen how much of a big mouth he had.
He's a mutant.
I just want to mention, when Trump is always saying, oh, people can go back out in the restaurants and stuff like that. That guy never fucking gets into the city. The Democratic presidents, when I was there, they got Clinton was out there all the time. Obama would stop in at a restaurant at Adams Morgan, whatever. They got out in the city. Bush almost never went into the city. And Trump doesn't, he goes to Mar-a-Lago. He can't make any money off of going to a restaurant in the city. He can make money off of, bringing his whole staff.
He can't even go to Camp David. I mean, that's how, that's what an endorsement he is.
I'm glad, because he would try to rename it Camp Donald.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, there's bugs there. I
remember Obama used to go to Obama used to go to Ben's Chili up there on U Street.
Yeah,
and also the Five Guys. Remember, he bought I think Tom Brokaw or somebody a hamburger at Five Guys. So
I see Ira said we had a great show going today. I have to say it's a peak Steve day, because first of all we had this concise, comprehensive, perfect explanation of the legal situation in Minneapolis, and then a mention of Mumford. Which I've said before, it's like Steve's like the Detroit version of a Harvard graduate, where they always work into the conversation. Oh, when I was at school in Cambridge, blah, blah, blah. It's like
Nancy, just wait till Rudy Tomjanovich enters the conversation.
and this is why Steve is now the center square. So I think
you know what, Nancy, I'm going to get a tape of all the nice things you've said about me. I'm going to play it for my wife, and my wife's going to say to me, "Does she even know you?"
No, she's going to say, "Give me that bitch's address. I'm going to go kick her ass."
She ain't coming to Grosse Pointe, even though brothers and sisters live there. She ain't coming out there.
Well, when she realizes that the phone number tattoo on her lumbar is not exactly a metaphor, and that might be an interesting dinner conversation right there. Well, Attorney General Pam Bondi has acknowledged that the Department of Justice has released only 1% of the Epstein files thus far, and there remain 2 million files that still need to be explored. And I think we have a video for that, Alan.
Justice Department said in a court filing this week that there are more than 2 million files related to Jeffrey Epstein that have not been released and have to be reviewed to ensure victim privacy, specifically this victim.
So, of course, conspiracy theorists are wetting or licking their lips, saying that all of these other situations, whether it is in Minnesota or with Maduro, are just really moving the needle away from the Epstein files. By the way, I do want to go ahead and this question really is intriguing. Fish, how much do you think Maduro's defense counsel is charging on an hourly rate?
I think Joel and I will agree that the last thing that any of us lawyers want to do is try to speculate on what some other lawyer is charging. I know the guy, he obviously has a lot of money. He stole a lot, and we'll go from. I have no idea. spent my entire career not charging enough, according to Jerry Fishman, and I know that's true. So I when I hear some of the fees that people charge here, having nothing to do with Nicolás Maduro, I kind of go, really? So maybe Joel has an opinion. I don't have one.
I have no idea.
I'm reminded of a quote that I read many years ago in my own newspaper when a high-profile defendant was on trial, and the quote from the lawyer was, "I wouldn't leave any jingle in his jangle." So basically, I'm gonna charge him everything I possibly can.
Yeah,
so.
well, that's unfortunately that is the way a lot of lawyers look at things. That's why there are not very many lawyers who maintain relationships with their criminal clients after the case is over. Most of them never see or talk to them again. I go out to dinner with my guys. They come and visit. They call up. We go listen to music
because they're gonna crime again. And
no, that's not why.
Repeat business.
Everybody listening, I'd like them to listen to this too. It's how you treat people, just like in any other realm of the world. It's how you treat people. If you treat people like you think they're just a bag of money, then they're going to understand that. And as soon as they can get away from you, they're going to leave. If you treat them like human beings, then they're still the same human beings after the case is over. And a lot of people enjoy sitting down, having a beer, or whatever it is. I mean, I represented Chris Webber. I can tell you this much. Whoever this guy is that's got the Venezuelan president would have charged him a lot more than I did. I guarantee you that. And Chris obviously had a few dollars.
So Steve, when you go out for dinner with them, do you go Dutch? And who picks up the tab on the appetizer for the table?
I'm not sure I know what Dutch means. What does that mean, Dutch?
Everybody pays.
Separate checks.
Divided.
I have never ever.
Sorry, Steve. I think before Purple Rain, it was called Hollandaise.
Yeah, here. What Todd says is true. When I represented him, we got his kids out there. We were playing on dirt, if I remember, Todd. I think that's right. And I can tell you, it's lucky Todd made his living as a policeman, because as a basketball player, he'd have starved to death.
You're still friends with Chris Webber.
Absolutely, we're still friends.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, Allan, I know that you've been covering this beat for quite a while now. In fact, like I said, I think that they're going to make you an honorary Yemeni down there in Hamtramck. They've now sworn in their new mayor, Adam El-Harbi, despite the fact that there's still a court challenge before the Michigan Supreme Court. His opponent has been trying to get the votes that were found, or the ballots that were found in the city clerk's office, ones that could then count for the recount. Is there any update on that case?
I haven't seen anything. I mean, they proceeded. They swore him in, and so I mean, it's a shame. I think there were 37 votes. I think that were there were absentee ballots that were sitting there that weren't discovered till either the next day or the next day after that. They went to the Wayne County Board of Canvassers, and they voted not to count them. I think it was a split vote, which left it not counted. Then it went to Wayne Circuit Judge, who said, there was an issue over the chain of custody. When you have ballots sitting there, there's no telling that someone else can toss an extra couple ballots. In Hamtramck, particularly, where there's been some shenanigans with the voting, there were some questions about that, but I think the Supreme Court is going to uphold the lower court rulings, and I think it's just going to stand there. 11, a difference of 11 votes. You had 37 uncounted, and so it's a shame, but there is a certain sense of injustice there. But legally, I guess there's justice.
This is why it's important to follow procedure in elections always. And this is what Barb can tell you. I mean, we both been election workers. And if you don't, and that's why all this crap about, they brought in secret ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, everybody knows that's bullshit.
Hey, so I take advantage of Stoney being here. One of the viewers asked about school. What's your prognosis for the school ball?
Well, they're going to arbitration. When that happens, both sides will basically say bad stuff about each other. Well, I think so they'll the mediator will come up with a salary if they don't agree, and I think I think they should trade him, but I don't think they will. I think what they're going to do is just ride it out and take a chance on them, winning the World Series with them, and they'll get nothing in return. That's what I think they're going to do, because you have a guy who's the president of baseball operations who thinks he invented baseball and decides that they don't want to go after any guys who can help them with bats. It's all going to be, draft and development, like every other team in this town. We're the city of the good. It's good. It's good that all our teams are good, but it doesn't seem like anybody really wants to be great, at least in the professional level. And the Venezuela thing is really upsetting to me because, how's Gleyber Torres and Montero going to get to spring training in time? Are they allowed to even leave? Because they always say, oh, these guys are late because of visa problems. This time it's going to be legitimate.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
So on that, Sony, I mean, yesterday, I don't know if anybody watched the Fiesta Bowl, which was the semifinal for the playoffs with Ole Miss and Miami.
A great game. Carson Beck in his 7th year.
Yeah. How is that even
That's
possible?
incredible.
I think he was playing when we were playing.
I know.
He was quarterbacking somewhere when we were back in the 60s.
They got a COVID year. There's medical reg. It's unbelievable. You follow the portal now, and this guy just, is going to this school, and they put up the logos, and it's like 3 logos. Where do they even graduate from anymore? It's a joke. And the NCAA, it's their fault because they have nobody in charge of anything.
Well, and do they graduate from any place? Not even where.
Right.
So, and then tonight, of course, we have an all Big Ten semifinal between Oregon and Indiana. How do you see that one turning out?
I think Indiana is the best team in the country. This guy's a witch. Signetti is just a great coach. And the fact that he was even last year, they were really good by bringing guys from James Madison in, a lot of his team, and they used a portal quarterback from Ohio U, and now they got the Heisman Trophy winner. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think Indiana wins, and I kind of hope they win it all. So the Big Ten. I think the funniest thing is the SEC, where it always means more. 3 straight years, no SEC team in the national championship game. And part of the reason is that because they used to, pay under the table more than the teams up did here. I mean, everybody up here was not exactly squeaky clean, despite what Fish and people from Michigan like to believe, but it wasn't like it is a SEC. Now everybody's on the same playing field, so the SEC isn't so wonderful anymore.
Well, but do you think that Miami is going to have a bit of an edge or an equalizer with the final being played at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami? Which, by the way, does anyone know of any rock music out of Miami other than Gloria Estefan and maybe Trini Lopez? But anyway,
Pitbull.
Pitbull, yeah, that's not rock.
That's true.
I don't know if I can't remember if I said it on this show or the previous show. When I was a senior at Michigan State, Adolph Mongo had a sports magazine called Champions, and he called me up and said, "Hey, you got to interview this guy. His name's Irvin Johnson. They call him Magic. He's at Lansing Everett High School. He's a senior." And so I met Magic at a Shell gas station in Lansing. He pulled up in a deuce and a quarter, $2.25.
Yeah.
Obviously, these guys are they were getting taken care of back then.
Mm-hmm.
Now even more so.
Yeah. Now it's just legal. I don't think they're going to have that much of a home field advantage because Indiana, they travel. There'll be more Miami people there. They're fair weather fans. A lot of times when they haven't been great, I know people down there that the place is like half empty, but it'll be cool. It's good to see them back. They're, no matter what you think of them, they're a fun school to watch, although I'm sick of Michael Irvin on the sidelines already.
Well, you have Ray Lewis.
My soul left my body again when you said a quarterback from Ohio University.
Yes. What was
really?
Not now? Last year, he was Indiana's quarterback last year.
Wow.
Work. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is
my
something,
alma mater. It's not the kind of thing you hear about much.
They have one of the great football writers of all time is from Ohio. Peter King.
Peter. He was a classmate of mine. I know Peter. Yeah.
So. Did Julian Edelman go to that school as well?
No, Julian Edelman went to Kent.
Kent. I'm sorry. Close.
Yeah.
I was close.
Yes.
Close enough.
Is Ohio University in Athens?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Okay. The cradle of democracy.
That's right.
I mean, most famous
There sure were a lot of rednecks down there, but you know.
Well, most famous alum from there are you, Rourke, and Pericles, apparently. And I can vouch for this. There is definitely a flu epidemic going through the country, feeling a little bit under the weather. But it seems like our esteemed Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has rolled back a number of vaccinations required for children amidst this sharp spike. So it seems as though between that and the rollback on CDC communiques, we really don't know, except on a personal level, whether or not there are these epidemics happening in this country. True.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't trust anything that HHS tells us, or I didn't even trust the CDC anymore. God knows what's going on. We're being, if RFK Jr. is making the decisions, we're all fucked, and these vaccinations that he's playing with and tinkering with based on Denmark, that has no analogous, there's no analogy there, is just going to destroy us all. I mean, it's just, you're going to see the remnants of this policy, and it's going to be kids who have deformities, kids who are blind.
And it's not even, it's not even that so much as the way he is helping to spread this idea that vaccines should be optional. And, this medical choice and my body, whatever. It's like, it's not that hard to explain to people why.
Except when it comes to female reproduction.
Yeah, exactly. But there's,
they know all about that.
Yeah. But to explain why for vaccination to be effective, everybody has to get it, because it's not going to work on some people. There's just, it's just one of those things. And these vaccinations, with the exception of some mild side effects, are by and large harmless.
Maybe if he got vaccinated, his voice would be normal.
Well, he blames that. You probably heard he blames that on a flu shot. That he didn't have spasmodic dysphonia before he had a flu shot. But
he didn't say that when he was a normal lawyer with Mike Papantonio. He used to have a great show on Air America, if you remember that radio station. And he was an environmental lawyer at that time, and he made sense. The two of them talked, and he talked about us because he had to you get Botox shots
in your voice box. Yeah,
to stop it. And he talked about it, and he might have been nuts then, but he wasn't nuts publicly nuts.
Barb, not only was he an environmental lawyer, he was the director of the environmental law program, the Masters of Law program at Pace University in White Plains, New York. So RFK definitely had some bona fides. Well, ending today on a bit of a good news moment. 2025 marked the lowest murder total in Detroit since 1964. So certainly
the lowest. Didn't you say the lowest voter total? You mean the lowest
murder?
Oh, murder total.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Homicide total. So
your voice has been obviously your voice is being affected, and pretty soon you're going to be going. Get the floor.
Now you're worrying me, Nancy. I did take the flu shot. So, who knows where that's going to end up? So anyway, all right, Alan, let's go to our last segment.
All right. Downtown Detroit, Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
Okay, we are going to go around the horn to talk about who's our Schmuck of the Week. Stoney, we're going to go ahead and show how you can then jump in. We'll start with Joel. I'm going
to go with someone who has a spine, Lindsey Graham. I saw him just nodding his head when Trump was spouting bullshit. And he is the most pathetic simp I've ever fucking seen in my life. So Lindsey Graham, I just want, he should go to your, growing up with you too, Steve, because you would have kicked the shit out of him as well. The guy is just so insufferable. So that would be my Schmuck of the Week. I can't stand Lindsey Graham.
I think Steve would have had him on a leash over at Mumford.
He would have survived.
He'll be in the locker.
Yeah. Swirlies, stuffing in the locker. Yeah. Barb.
I've been thinking about it for like the last day, and I mean, everybody is the Schmuck of the Week right now. I am so filled with fury and outrage, and I have this big family party this weekend, and so I cannot go out and do the things that I would like to do, because it's my sister Pat's birthday. Everyone say happy birthday, Pat.
Happy birthday, Pat.
There you go. So I have to stay home and not get in trouble. So I'm going to go for some low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to beg the Detroit News to stop calling us Michiganians.
Michiganians.
On the front page. We are not Michiganians. We have never been Michiganians. It makes me hate them even more. And you didn't think, oh, there you go, Patty. Please, somebody stop them from doing it. I know it's the AI generated editors, but we are.
No, it really, when I worked at Bridge, we had this debate, and we also went with Michiganians. And it was, and the English teacher wrote us a very nice letter thanking us for using the correct term. So there's some debate on this.
Wrong.
I like Michiganians more than Michiganders.
I am not a Michigoose. So if it's, if there's Michigan,
it should be Michiganers.
That's right.
Michiganers.
Man, more Yiddish. Okay. Stoney.
I can't decide between Pete Hegseth or this guy. I'm going to give it to this guy because it's different. It's Ted Nugent for calling out Eminem, Jack White, Tom Morello, Billy Joe Armstrong, and of course my guy Springsteen for all sorts of things just because they don't have the same sick political views that he does.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a career which he doesn't have.
Yeah, they also have careers. Exactly.
Yeah. They have talent. Not him.
Well,
county fair, Ted.
And from what I understand, none of them had sort of volitional diarrhea, as Nugent did to get out of the draft.
Yeah.
Fish.
Well, mine, the obvious ones I thought for sure everybody would always talk about, Kristi Noem, et cetera, or even the guy that murdered the lady. But my schmuck of the week is the guy who jumped out of the car and ran, calling her all kinds of names to the door, and started to tug on the door trying to get into her car. I have no idea what his name is, neither do the rest of us, because of course they're masked and everything is secret about it. But he's my schmuck of the week because, quite frankly, I don't know that any of it would have happened if he'd have just, like somebody said earlier, just walked up there, said, "Could you move along?" or something along the line. But no, he had to be Mr. Macho Man with his gun and his mask and all of his shit on his chest and run up there, and he started the whole thing. So he's my schmuck of the week, whoever the hell he is.
Good one.
Gravy seals.
All right, good one.
Yeah,
good one.
the gravy
Nancy.
seal. Okay, those of you, I feel like I have to explain this for some of you who are not as always online as some of us are, but apparently the AI chatbot that is connected to the former Twitter, which is X now, but it's really shitter is what I think of it, will perform this function if it's asked. You can post a photograph of a woman and say, show her naked, or show her in a swastika bikini, apparently. And Elon Musk and this chatbot, which is known by the name of Grok, has been obligingly doing this for some time now. It's Grok in what Elon calls spicy mode, and nobody is off limits. 14-year-old girls, which is essentially just generating child porn. Elderly bikinis, in swastika bikinis. I mean, it's just disgusting. And if the women themselves try to object to this, it says, "I'm sorry that this happened to you without your consent," but it doesn't take the images down, and it keeps doing it. And all of this is because of course, our old friend Elon Musk. And so I have to say that Elon Musk is schmuck of the week, probably month and year for this kind of thing. So I tried to find some of the ones that I could only find there. Of course, now it's attracting cam girls who are, these basically, online sex workers who are going on there and saying, put me in a micro bikini, blah, blah, blah. But it's disgusting. So Brave New World.
Okay. Allan.
I'm going to go with Pete Hegseth for trying to demote Senator Mark Kelly, demote him, censure him, which is just so, it just speaks to the pettiness of this administration and the dangerousness of this administration of going after people who speak out. There used to be a thing called the First Amendment, and they're really trying to, destroy that. So I go with Pete Hegseth among the many, many schmucks in that administration.
So many schmucks.
All right. Well, in honor of Jim leaving us early, I thought I'd do a schmuck for him, and also one of our other regulars, Bill Seikaly, not being here. I'll do a schmuck for him too. Ohio gubernatorial and former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy for having his family bodyguard arrested for federal drug charges. Justin Salisbury, 43-year-old resident of Bellefontaine, Ohio, arrested along with his wife, Urbana schoolteacher Ruth Ann Rankin, for trafficking OxyContin, methamphetamine, and fentanyl. Boy, Vivek, you really know how to do a background search for those protecting your family.
And let the Buckeye tell you it's Bellefontaine. So there you go.
Okay. I was going to say Bellefontaine. Anyway, also have to have a shout out to new head over at CBS News, Barry Weiss, for killing yet another story, this one by Anderson Cooper, which was going to reveal the fact that there is no need for the South Africa refugee program because there is no white genocide among the Afrikaners that are happening there. But she killed the story because Trump would be offended.
Of course.
On the area of media, Jesse Waters over at Fox News, his producer approached Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for an interview, and she says, "Why would I go on his show when he implied that I wanted to sleep with Stephen Miller?" Called Waters a pervert.
Oh God!
But I think my schmuck par excellence has to be this week. Texas A&M University for banning teaching Plato in, wait for it, a philosophy class because it would violate Texas's restrictions on how one has gender and race on the curriculum. Because Plato, of course, in the Republic teaches about Aristophanes' myth of split humans and Diotomia's ladder of love. Apparently, that's a little bit too dicey for the snowflake Texas A&M Aggie students.
Aggies, right?
Who
Yeah.
would
I
be
always thought it
offended
was
by
Pluto
this.
from Disney. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just felt my entire vagina like close up shop there. When you mentioned sleeping with Stephen Miller, I was like,
and that just got our show banned from Texas.
These gross pointers. You never know with these people from Grosse Pointe. They just
the privilege they have, Steve, of talking about their own genitals. We'll never know what that feels like. All right. Well, that brings us to a conclusion of another great episode of the week that was. Thank you to our audience, and thank you, Joel Sklar. Thank you, Steve Fishman. Thank you, Mike Stone or Stoney. Thank you, Barb Ingalls. Thank you, Nancy Derringer. And thank you, and always with the last word, Allan Lengel.
Drive home safely.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.